everybody. My cards out. Got my ceremonial cacao. We dive into our readings. Let's do this. Oh, Great Spirit, Father, Sky, Mother, Earth, the winds, the waters, my Father, my Mother, Atanaha, all it is. We thank you for our lives and we thank you for these good people. We thank you for all that we are and all that we are to become. We dedicate our time spent together and our relationships with one another to you. We ask that our suffering be ended and our pain be lifted to the love and to the peace that lay beyond. Aho, Amen, Namaste. Okay, let's rock and roll. Maria saying, hi Sky, I have this headache since yesterday and I can hold nothing in my stomach. May I have a scan and a healing, please? Okay, let me tune in. Okay, my love, I am seeing a virus and I'm also seeing dehydration. So like the angels are really saying that we need to rehydrate your body. If you're not being able to keep anything down, including water, then I recommend making your way to a pharmacy or making your way to A&E so they can give you like a syringe, because you are like, I'm really seeing dehydration. Which is not a good thing when you're dealing with viruses, okay? So let's bring in Archangel Raphael and do an instant healing. I try sips of warm water as well, see if that goes down. Ooh. And there's a lot of this energy of I've had enough, I've just had enough, so we'll just pull that off. Okay. Christina is saying, hey Sky, I'm confident I'm here to support women to claim their worth, power and identity, but I'm unsure if that is, I'm sure if this is so that they can live their life purpose or attract their highest soulmate. It's in living your divine life purpose that you attract your highest soulmate, because when you are yourself, you are magnetic, you're glowing, you're radiant, you're happy, right? You're doing the thing that you love and you're being authentic as to what your needs are, as to what your standards are. And that naturally magnetizes men in who are at that same vibration, right? When you're living a life that's a lie, or when you're living a life that's not authentic to what you really love, let's say you go to a job you hate every day, or you're in a job which doesn't value you financially, then you attract other people, places, situations that are the same thing, and soulmates that are the same thing, right? You may attract a man that values you emotionally but not spiritually and not physically. You may attract a man that values physically but not spiritually and emotionally, because you haven't learned how to value all those things yet, right? A successful woman is very intimidating to people, especially to men who aren't successful. Right? A woman on her divine life purpose is very intimidating to people who are not on their mission or their purpose. Not because she's doing anything wrong, but because it reminds people of the anointing they've not tapped into, of the healing that they've not tapped into. So it's important to recognize that the more you step into your worth, the more you call in new friends, new people, new soulmates, because they are now a reflection of where you are now, not of where you were as a teenager or in your 20s. Or if you don't change, if you don't grow and you're emotionally in the same place, then you will attract people who are always in the same place or in the same situation. When you are growing, like if you're shifting from being employed to being self-employed, having a service-based business to having a large 6 or 7 figure business, you will attract other people who are in a similar environment and who can contain that kind of energy, and they're excited by that kind of energy. And if you're making money, you attract other people who are also making money and who aren't intimidated by you making money. So you don't have to choose. It's not either or, but there can be a period of a falling away of the old. Because if you were living a lie, if you were living in a reality where that wasn't a true reflection of your gifts, of your abundance, of your true potential, then those people will no longer be a vibrational match once you step into your power, once you step into your purpose. And I kid you not, I remember I graduated my law degree and I made the decision that I was going to live my divine life purpose, that I wasn't going to pursue that career in law, that I was going to live my divine life purpose, that I was going to move into, doing my angel healings and readings. I had no idea how it was going to happen, but I knew that that's what I wanted. And I kid you not, less than a month later is when I met my husband. So, and it was at a spiritual healing retreat. So, it is about letting yourself make that shift. You are not being asked to choose between love and success. That's not the decision you're being asked to make, right? But when you are looking for potential soulmates or potential candidates, you have to be very discerning. And that might mean that well, it doesn't, might mean, it does mean that you are much faster to end a relationship than when you are not in connection with your divine truth. Because when you're not in connection with your divine truth, you make excuses, right? It's red flag after red flag and you're not paying attention. When you are in connection with your divine truth, there's 3 red flags and you're sitting there going, this isn't going to work, right? And you have the courage to be honest about that. So it's a very different energy when you're living your divine life purpose, because you're happy, because you've created a life you're proud of, because you have abundance to protect. You are much more careful about who you let get close to you, because they can take down your entire life purpose. If you let the wrong person in, they can take down your entire life, divine life purpose. They can take down your entire dream just by abusing you. And if you've worked hard to build that and put time and energy and love into that, you're much more protective of it and you're much more caring. So I promise you that you 100% get to have your divine life purpose and attract your highest soulmate. They're often slightly different seasons, because the building your divine life purpose takes normally a year to 2 years. And it's about you discovering who you are and your own worth and fully self-actualizing. And then the soulmate tends to show up either in the middle of that, or when you are self-actualized, when you're really confident in who you are, when you're ready, to connect, because that first stage is a lot of work. So, a lot of men and women don't really meet their soulmates in the building stage. They meet their soulmate in the provider stage, where the income is already steady, where they feel like they know what they're doing, where they feel like they can delegate to others, where they feel like, they have it together, as opposed to meeting their soulmate in their building stage, because the building stage is a lot of you being a jack of all trades, you building things up on your own, you putting in a lot of hard work, but also you are excited by this, right? When you're doing your divine life purpose, it's exciting to create your programs, exciting to work with your clients, exciting to figure out who you are, exciting to figure out how fast you can grow, how far you can go, all of that stuff. It really comes in really strong, right? So that's very relevant too. Christine is also saying, what shall in marketing be my focus, life purpose or relationship? And do the angels have an additional message regarding my life purpose? My love, I think they're like, why are they like, when you say life purpose or relationship, these things are not separate. These things are really not separate. So if you are if you think that both of those are aspects of your divine life purpose, then put them in the container. Literally say that this container is designed to help women who want to fully actualize their divine life purpose and make a huge impact, at the same time as having healthy, happy relationships with their divine life partner or their divine soulmate. That's a container. Okay. Learning how to master holding both, worthiness of both. That's a huge issue for a lot of women. Okay. So you don't have to have a marketing aimed at one or a marketing aimed at the other. You have to know that your client is a client who is on her divine life purpose and wants to have an intimate, loving, really good romantic relationship. Okay. Okay, Mitra Art is saying, Dear Sky, my husband, who is currently staying downstairs at my mom's, in my mom's couch, won't sit with me and discuss sabotaging agreements. I need his approval/agreement by law to get out of our apartment or contract. Okay, so we're just saying Archangel Michael, but I'm not sure where you are in the world. Obviously, legal systems are different. But for example, inside the UK, if your partner is unresponsive to a legal situation, you can get, a lawyer involved, whether that's a student lawyer or an actual lawyer, depending on your income, and you serve them notice. So especially if it's a legal issue that has to be resolved between the two of you, and you've given them notice that this needs to be resolved, right? And they don't answer, you kind of give them a time at which, if they don't answer, then you're going to have to take over, because they're abdicating their legal responsibility in this case. And that's normally the same in a divorce, and with children, with with jobs. Same thing with your landlord. Like, your landlord might give you notice that you haven't paid your rent. You might get that like 3 months in a row, but then you're going to be evicted. Same thing with debt collectors. So they can, even with divorce, nobody can hold off indefinitely. They can say that they don't want a divorce, but then you can file a petition in the court, and then it goes through without them if they refuse to engage. Your partner's not the first partner to have tried something like this. So it's worth having a conversation with a lawyer as to what the next steps are. And yes, by law, you need his approval, but also by law, he doesn't have like an indefinite amount of time to give that or never give that. Okay. So it's important to speak to somebody who's actually a lawyer, not a family member, okay, especially not a family member of your ex, um, but somebody who can give you advice for the country that you're in as to how to handle this situation. But normally, as long as you can prove that you've been reasonable, you've shown them the papers, you've given them notice, you've given them every opportunity to do their part, then you're safe, okay? But obviously, you have to check this with a lawyer in your country, in your situation, to make sure going forward. I'm going to call on Archangel Michael to help you with this. Okay, and what Archangel Michael's saying to me when I'm tuning into Uranus is, this is not about the flat. So maybe the conversation to have with your partner is not just about the flat. There's other things that you're avoiding talking about, they're saying. So it's like making space to have the real conversation, instead of having conversations about what we know. When you're in relationship coaching, they call it the bin, when you're both arguing about who's taking out the trash, but the real issue is the lack of respect, or the lack of connection, or the lack of intimacy. And you guys are arguing about something else entirely. Okay, because it's easier to argue about something that doesn't matter than it is to argue about what's going to happen to your marriage, what's going to happen with the kids, what's going to happen financially, whether or not you're still in love with each other. So the angels are really saying, ask Archangel Raguel for help, opening up these conversations and taking this deeper. And you need to let your self-righteousness down. Yes, you're in a lot of emotional pain, but so is your partner. Okay, you're not the only one that's hurt here. Both of you are hurt, and for the highest good of your family, you need to be able to at least talk. So it's that energy of letting go of that power struggle, so that real communication can be given and received. So we're going to call on the angels to help with that. Okay, that's looking good. Monica saying, hi Sky, should I focus on building my design business, or start my master's at university? I'd prefer to go down the business path, but I feel like I'm going to fail at it. Thank you. I like, your angels are really, I'm seeing the card from the mermaids deck, the you're an entrepreneur, ready, set, go. So it's about working on your self-esteem. Okay, because whether you go to university or not, you will eventually have to start your own business. So it's this energy of allowing yourself to, not university, you do your master's. You've already been to university if you've gone to do a master's. It's that energy of letting go, of this belief there's a right path, and knowing that you are what makes the path right. You, like, for example, if you sign up to a master's at university, it's your dedication, the hours you put in to study, the amount of effort that you put in that reflects your grade, which your grade is the level of success you've achieved in that course at university. It's exactly the same thing when you are when you're stepping into your business, right? You're the level of success, the numbers, like your sales, your the number of people that you help, the results that you get, the testimonials that you get are directly proportional to how hard you work, both at mastering your craft, right? And at the marketing and the business skills required to put it forward. So I'm really seeing you getting you make your business your full focus. And if you're going to study, study business, right? Study what you want to become a master at. You study what you want to become a master at, not just the craft itself, but the business part of it as well. So we're going to call on the business angels to help you with this. There we go. Okay. That's starting to clear up. Arts community, hi, saying, hi Sky, my main income comes from selling art prints in design markets. 3 months on the road every weekend, exhausting and bad for the kids. Decided to cut down and only attend a few this year. Is this a good idea? Um, what might be a better idea is to get somebody to run the stalls for you, right? So someone else is doing the showing up at the fairs. But they're showing me that basically you're transitioning from selling in person to selling online, right? So you need to give yourself a bit of time to make that transition so you don't take like a drastic cut in income. So we're going to ask the angels of change to come in and help you make that transition in a way that's graceful, but also help you get support. There we go. And show you that there is more than one way to sell your art. I'm also really hearing that it's important for you to make that transition to being able to sell online as well because you are exhausted, you are burnt out. So we're just going to vacuum away all that exhaustion and all of that there is no other way energy and all of that trapped and I'm stuck stuff. Okay. Sarah Massey saying, hi Sky, can I have a scan on my throat chakra? Lately I've been talking more and I feel like my throat is not welcoming this change. So when I'm looking at your throat chakra, your throat chakra is actually good. What the issue is that you're not warming up your voice. So when you're like me and you're a speaker by career in the sense of I speak during sessions, I speak during events, I speak during programs, I speak during angel readings, that's a big workout for your vocal cords, right? It's no different than if your job was to be a singer. So it's doing doing voice exercises every morning. It's drinking lemon water and avoiding the alcohol. It's clearing your throat chakra on a daily basis as well. So we're going to call the angels just to clear out your throat chakra, but also to recognize that your throat is a muscle, right? And that it's okay to take the time to warm up that muscle and stretch that muscle before you're using it all day long. Okay, that's looking good. Oh, Aisha's saying, hey Sky, going through this ascension phase, a lot of who I am is being revealed. My issue is I feel very in my head about everything I'm learning. How can I integrate and develop a sense of knowing? Am I supposed to sing? It sounds so silly, walking up to music in my head since forever. Waking, seeing lights, dots whilst silly singing. One gifted me a piano. Just curious why this thought came up today. If you're getting all these signs, then it's clearly that a big part of music being your path, but they're not separate. It's quite interesting that this energy of like separation, different parts coming up today. There's a lot of incredible spiritual musicians, like a huge number of incredible, very successful spiritual musicians. So if music is part of your path and ascension is part of your path, then allowing the two to exist together is no different than allowing your artistic stuff to be channeled through through spiritual mediums. Allow things to flow the way that they're supposed to flow. You can be a writer and be spiritual. You can be an artist and be spiritual. You can be a musician and be spiritual. You can be an accountant and be spiritual. Okay. It's allowing the two things to infuse together so that you can be all of who you are. And there's nothing silly about singing. Music is one of the most powerful healing forces that there is. And historically speaking, singing is the way that we worshipped God. It's the only thing we used it for. Whether it was chanting, whether it was hymns, whether it was the only thing that we used it for was connecting it to God. Okay, but there's nothing silly about it. If you're being guided to sing, if you're being guided to use music as part of your divine life purpose, then go there. Let yourself enjoy it fully. Let yourself monetize that gift. Let yourself fully shine into that area, and release your fears about it. As for embodying it, there's often a big fear that our personality, our identity will change so much when we embody what we spiritually know that we won't even recognize ourselves. Right? And that's why in films like The Matrix, etc., they say, oh, we don't wake people up until they're like, if they're over like 10, 11 years old. We don't pull people out the matrix if they're in their teenage years because your identity is already strong, right? After 5, 6, 7 years of age, you've got a strong connection to your story, a strong connection to your identity. And if that just gets yanked out underneath you, people often have a lot of trouble adjusting. The reality is that you can change your identity at any season of your life. And it's completely okay for you to embody that and to do that. But it does often mean a radical change in who you're attracted to, including friends and jobs and things like that, and on what you think. You guys know I went from being a law student to be a spiritual teacher. That's a complete shift in identity and a complete shift in thought process and what I believe justice to be and what I believe my divine life purpose to be. So, it's okay for you to change. It's at every stage of your life, it's okay for you to change. Um, you get to reinvent yourself so that you can be your most authentic expression in every season. Okay, gonna do my energy break. Terry T saying, hi Sky, may I have a healing of being taken advantage of by others? Thank you. Yes, we're going to call on Archangel Michael to help you set some boundaries, to help you defend yourself and protect yourself. Okay, that's looking good. Danica is saying, hi, dear Skylar, may I have a healing to feel free to speak my truth and my opinion in a calm and loving way in all relationships? Thank you so much. Oh, okay, so let's just call in Archangel Raphael for an instant healing here, along with Archangel Michael. Just clearing out the throat chakra. Any of those big blocks around, what if I hurt someone? What if I express anger or jealousy or greed or whatever other fear in an unloving way? Fear of your own voice, fear of rejection. And then fear of not knowing your own words. of speaking other people's words, of being influenced by others. Let's give that all to God. Fear of telling the truth. So the truth, because the truth will change everything, and you might want everything to stay the same. You're afraid of the change. Give that all to God too. Okay, and then just allowing that blue light to come in, that divine light to come in, just remove any darkness from your throat chakra, and then to light it up with that radiant blue light. PB saying, "Hi Sky, can I please get an angel reading for a current work situation? What should I do to align to a better workplace and do something in alignment with my purpose? Lots of love." So the angels are saying that we need to raise your self-worth because you're applying to anything and everything. It's like that energy of I just need a job, and it's causing all kinds of chaos. So the first thing is I don't not I just need a job. The first thing is I need a job that's in alignment with my divine life purpose, and then applying to places and building relationships with places where you would want to work. So, for example, if you want to work in spirituality, you're looking for spiritual shops, yoga studios, um, you know, coaching companies, things like that. And then you're looking at building a relationship with those people on social media so that when an opportunity for a job comes up, you can apply and there's already a warmth there. There's already, they know who you are. And then you want to make sure that you aren't resenting working for other people, that that's actually what you want to do. Okay, and that that is part of your divine life purpose. And if that is, and that's completely okay, and a lot of people's divine life purpose is to work for others, and it works absolutely beautifully, and they still get very abundant, then you go in that direction. If you realize that you're supposed to be self-employed and you're an entrepreneur, then you're always going to sabotage working for other people. Okay, because that's your divine life purpose is to have people work for you, not the other way around. And that's a whole different challenge. You can still be successful, you can still be abundant, you can still be happy, but it's a whole different energy, right? So let's just release this fear of never belonging, never being accepted, so that you can find a place to work where you belong. Okay, that looks good. Matt is saying, "Dear Sky, yesterday I had my first class in Reiki healing. Do the angels have any messages for me? Thank you very much." So I'm hearing, I think you've had some big emotional releases, and they're really hearing just be present with it, just sit with it. Reiki and energy healing are slightly different than when you're doing hypnosis or digging, in that you're not always, well, you're not consciously aware of what the energy is working on or what it's shifting. So it requires a different level of faith for you to surrender and let go. They're saying that this is like you need to let go. There's a lot of resentment coming out of your kidneys. There's a lot of stuff coming out of your heart. Your frequency is completely changing. So just be really kind to yourself and make sure that you make space to express your feelings. Diana saying, "Hey Sky, I'm a Theta healer. I need guidance on expanding my spiritual practice, please. Thank you." So immediately I'm getting Archangel Gabriel in, because you are not being visible. You're not talking about the results that you get working with your clients. You're not talking about who you are as a spiritual teacher. So they're really like, I can see the spiritual closet and the doors like swinging. Um, so they're asking you to come out of the spiritual closet. They're asking you to be more visible. And they're asking you to talk about, like, stop talking about the modality and start talking about how you can help people. And then people don't care about the modality. They care about your ability to get them results, right? people don't come into your healing practice. People don't call me from all over the world and come to study with me from all over the world because I did theta healing or because I did hypnosis or because I did counseling or because I did psychotherapy. They come because they've heard other people say she's really good at what she does. What does that mean? It means that when they work with me, they get what they want, right? Um, they don't really mind what I use, whether I'm using my own technique, whether I'm using hypnosis, whether some people do, but the vast majority, they're like, just help me, right? Stop this, help me stop this suffering and get to a place where I'm happy, where I'm whole, where I'm healthy. And they come to you because they trust in your capacity to do that. So when you want more clients, and you want to think about it as tapping into what God is asking you, who God is asking you to help, who God is asking you to serve, and thinking about how can I make them feel safe that if they choose me, if I get the honor of being chosen, um, how can I deliver that the quickest way, the fastest way, with the most grace and ease for them and for me, right? It's allowing that process to unfold without without trying to force it, because force comes from fear, right? There's a very good book called Power versus Force that explains this in depth. But you don't, the moment you start pushing or trying to make it happen or hustling, it's because deep down you're afraid that it won't. Okay. So let's just do a quick energy clearing on the energy closet, right? So those of you who are stuck in this spiritual energy closet, those of you that don't want to come out, those of you that are sitting there going, holy, I'm not ready to be visible. You have incredible, exquisite, life-saving, life-changing gifts. And you are here because you are needed. You do belong here. You do matter. You are important. You are good looking enough. You are clever enough. You are talented enough. You are worthy. And this is your time. So come out from the spiritual closet so that people can see you and know you and find you because they need you. Okay, that's looking a lot better. Ariel saying, greetings, Sky. Can my dog receive a healing as he has Lyme disease and has recently had growths in his mouth? Yep, we'll send an Archangel Raphael and the animal healing angels, Archangel Ariel as well, to help you and your dog to heal the Lyme. So Dee saying, hi, beautiful. Any angelic messages gratefully received? The energy that I'm getting immediately is like slow down, like really let yourself rest, let yourself slow down. You're putting a lot of pressure on yourself, and they're really like, and the message is very simply, there's no rush. There really is no rush. The success is inevitable. There's no rush. Slow down. Um, take your time. Let yourself enjoy this season of your life. There's like a real let yourself slow down, let yourself breathe, let yourself rest. Gals is saying, you recommended a liver flush to help with my diabetes, but I've got no idea how to go about this on a day-to-day basis. Then, my love, get yourself to a nutritionist or get yourself to somebody who can facilitate liver flushes, okay? This is not a one size fits all. Diabetes is not a one size fits all. So you need to contact naturopathic clinics and people who will be able to support you in implementing the changes that have come as your divine guidance, and that may even recommend things that will serve you. Okay, but if you don't know how to do something on your own, you're not on your own. Okay, you're really not on your own. Laura saying, hi Sky, I teach fitness and I'm a massage therapist. In March, I injured my right shoulder. I've done the same thing on the left. I use my body all the time and it really impacts how much I can work. I'm wondering if the universe is signaling to me to take a different direction somehow, but I'm struggling to see the insight. Please could you see if anything comes through? Thank you. Oh, my love, you've got an exercise addiction. So exercise is amazing for your health, but a lot of us, me included, use it to cover up our painful feelings and emotions, and that's when we get injured. Okay? So when we're like, "Oh, I'm in a bad mood, I'm going to work out instead of journal." That's a way of repressing your feelings. You're getting the endorphins to shut up your feelings or your emotions. When we're exhausted, and because it's our job, we have to work out anyway, right? Um, Shoulders are literally about carrying all on your own, and this energy of resenting having to do it all by yourself. So where are you using exercise to hide the how you really feel about not being supported financially, emotionally, spiritually, and what can you do to shift how much you think you deserve, and how much, not just deserve financially, but deserve emotionally, deserve spiritually. You deserve to receive what you give. So take a minute and just imagine with me for a second. Go up into God's mind, God's heart, and imagine. Imagine what it would feel like if you had the level of emotional support that you give, the level of financial support that you give, the level of service that you give. I don't just mean that you give in general, I mean that you give to your kids, to your partner, to your family. What would it feel like to have that level of care taken towards you? If there was somebody thinking about your dinner and what you were going to take to school, and what you had to do tomorrow, and what outfit you were going to wear, and if there was somebody who was helping you as much as you help everybody else, at least one person, feel what that's like to receive on that level. And if you're giving to multiple people, it's the same thing with your clients. Feel what it would feel like to you to have that level of patience, compassion, respect, love, presence. There we go. Davia saying, can I request to check if Anoop Eganger is my incoming husband? My love, it's too soon. It's too soon. When I'm tuning in, the angels are saying like this is not decided yet. This is not decided yet. So they're really saying to please do not, like, there's a real energy of like you wanting to be in love so badly that you're giving your heart before that person's proved themselves worthy. So they're saying please do not put your heart on your sleeve, please do not put your heart on the table until you're sure that this person can meet your values. Okay, but you're gonna, like, they're saying like what I'm seeing is there's going to be more people. I'm gonna do one more, see what comes through. Tajir is saying, think my question did not come up. I'm feeling stuck in a career I no longer wish to do, feeling low and demotivated. I know I'm a healer. Yeah, I know you're a healer too. Um, Look, courage. We're going to pray for courage. For everybody here that's thinks they're looking for love, or thinks they're looking for abundance, or thinks they're looking for a new career, we're going to call on the angels of courage, because this is available to you. Love is available to you. Success is available to you. Abundance is available to you. Everything that you want, health is available to you. But you have to believe that that's the case, and you have to find the courage to follow your divine guidance. There we go. Courage. Just allow God's courage to permeate every cell and every molecule and every area of your life. Courage to move on your divine guidance. Courage to show up as who you really are. Courage to know that you are worthy of being financially supported in your divine life purpose. Courage to know that you're worthy of being emotionally supported, and supported with the domestic labor, and supported with the emotional labor, and supported with the parenting labor inside an intimate relationship. Courage to claim and declare what God has already given you. so that it manifests into your world. There we go. Whew. Nancy saying, hi Sky, do the angels have input about me using timeline healing in my coaching practice? Thank you. I think like I'm getting like a very strong yes. There's absolutely no reason why it won't be very successful. It's a very powerful healing that, and it works very well. It works very well with EFT, it works very well with hypnosis, it works very well with NLP, it works very well with any kind of meditation. So trust, you trust that you're like, this is what I was saying earlier about, you don't have to sell timeline therapy. You have to sell results. Your clients, they're not into every single step of your learning journey as a student. They are really deeply into, can you help them get where they want to go? That's what every single suffering person wants to know, right? You break it down, the answer they're looking for is simple. The question is, can you help me end my pain? And is the answer yes or no? And they're studying you, they're looking at you, they're binge watching your videos, trying to figure that out. Right? So that's one of the reasons. So, for example, yesterday I was doing discovery calls for Medical Intuitive, and I had 4 people come on, quite interesting, who were looking to do their own healing, right? And they weren't sure they wanted to be healers or medical intuitives, but they wanted to use the course for their own healing. And within 15 minutes of talking to me, every single one of them said, I've spoken to so many people, and not one of them has helped me as much as you in 15 minutes. Right? So people are looking for that. Like, can you help my suffering end? Do you care enough about me? Right? To help me when I get stuck. Will you be there for me when I struggle? If you can answer that question in the affirmative, you're never going to have a problem in business, because business is solving people's suffering. That's why it's spiritual. That's why it's divine. Right? Um, that's why it's God's work. So when you're looking at shifting into that energy, um, focus on how you can serve. Focus on really, like, you have 2 ears and one mouth. Listen to what people are saying, and then honestly decide whether or not you can help them resolve the problem that they're facing. If you can, help them. If you can't, refer them to someone who can. Right? And that it's so intuitive and so simple, but it can also be deeply triggering if you feel like you're not enough, or you're not worthy, or you're not ready. And then you have to work on those issues separately, but 100% incorporate timeline healing into your coaching practice. But don't decide that your coaching practice will be or won't be successful based on what you place in it. Your coaching practice is successful based on you. And that's why long before I started even existing on social media, my clinic was full, right? People talk. Businesses functioned long before social media existed, long before emails existed, long before all this online marketing existed. They were thriving, successful businesses in the world because people talk, right? So trust in the process that if you help someone, if you serve someone, there will be 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 people you're knocking your door down in a few weeks' time or in a few days' time, asking you to help them too. And it accumulates and it increases and it grows. Okay? Focus on doing the best for the person in front of you, and everything else falls into place. Janice is saying, hi Sky, just tuning in. Always a joy. So good to have you, Janice. Thank you for the blessing. Kate Hodge is saying, hi Sky, I would love a scan and some guidance for today. I'm open to the message that comes through. Thank you. Okay, let's have a look. Gosh, I'm hearing the words I'm hearing the words patience, and I'm hearing the words rest. Like, really rest. It's like even when you're resting, you're not stopping. So I'm not sure what you need to do. It looks like some sort of either deep meditation, or I even saw sauna, but because I know where you are in your health journey, I'm like, I don't think you can do saunas at that stage of where you are in your health journey. Um, but you need something to snap you out of the worry. You need something to snap your nervous system out of the fight, flight, freeze. So it might be the opposite, actually. It might be like a cold shower, a cold bath, or some wild swimming. But I'm being really shown rest and maybe even like getting away if it's possible, like giving yourself a chance to just get away from all of the conversations or from the energy. The house angels are kind of coming in wanting to clear the house as well. So anybody else that wants their house cleared, we're just going to ask the housing angels to do that now and to give you permission to get away, to rest, to stop um, stop forcing and start trusting. There we go. Whew, nice big deep breaths. Okay, art community saying, I asked my ex, who is an incredible designer, if he would do the cover art for my poetry book. No, 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 no. It is not a good idea. He said yes. I'm sure he did. Was it a good idea? No. Nope, nope, nope. As I would say, reading my son's bedtime book. Nope, that's not my mom. Nope, that's not a good idea. Concerned that he will put it off. My love, you don't want the energy from a previous toxic relationship all over your divine work. No. Mm-mm. Nuh-uh. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Him putting it off is the least of your problems. You picking up your incredible poetry and connecting it with him on an unconscious level because he designed the front cover. No, just no, 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 no. Sorry. I'm really sorry. But no, there are a million incredible designers in the world, way more than that. Get a different one. Preeti saying, can you help me find out why I'm still stuck to receiving answer from creator in which belief would work? The issue is that you're trying to move a belief and you need to move the emotion. So whenever you do energy work, yes, you need to change the belief because that's the mindset, but you also need to change the emotion. That's the heart. The heart is the emotions are stronger than mind. Emotions are stronger than mind, and emotions are not rational. Okay. And they're connected. And if you think about an infinity loop, and half of the infinity is beliefs and half of the infinity is relationships, emotions create beliefs and beliefs create emotions. And they're in symbiotic relationship with each other. So the emotion that you're looking to clear is unworthiness. Okay. Like this deep feeling of inadequacy. And the belief that comes along with it is people will reject me if I am, too much. Or if I, people don't like women that are interested in money, which is just not true. But it is, if that's what was familiar to you, if that's what you grew up with, if that's what's in the energy, then can become an issue. Okay. Okay, guys, we had 2 new people sign up to Medical Intuitive yesterday. If you're one of those, especially if you're in the closet, you know where I am, okay? I want to talk to you. We need to get this moving. So many of you, it's quite interesting, especially with the financial climate, are kind of sitting there going next year, another time. Guys, the time is now. Okay, the time is now, especially because the gap is widening and there's such a push to destroy people's ability to create abundance. There's no better time to tap into your spiritual gifts and to monetize those gifts. Um, Trust me when I say that, right? Um, when you get divine guidance, act as quickly as possible. It's important, okay? It's important. You are ready now. Um, this is an answered prayer, and your gifts are not toys. They're incredibly powerful things that the world needs you to share. Okay. Okay, let's do our closing prayer. O great spirit, Father Sky, Mother Earth, the winds, the waters, my father, my mother, Atanaha, all that is, we thank you for our lives, and we thank you for these good people. We thank you for all that we are and all that we are to become. We dedicate our time spent together and our relationships with one another to you. We ask that our suffering be ended and our pain be lifted, to the love and to the peace that lay beyond. Aho, Amen, Namaste.